Hello team and welcome back to another Line War cast. This is your map today in a 1v1 between AK Misk and Blue, and someone said that my nickname sucks in red. Before we get into it, we have a tournament on July 1st. Line War is running a tournament on July 1st from July 1st until July 7th. There's going to be a link in the description for the challenge site where you can watch the bracket. You can also sign up for the tournament. You have to sign up before June 30th. It's very exciting. A great way to kick off summer. These two players in the last tournament that we had last year both did very well. It wouldn't be surprising to see either of these players or both of these players in the grand final of the tournament next week. Again, it's July 1st to July 7th. You can see the link in the description below. And check out the Line War Discord if you'd like to learn more, ask questions, just chat about the game. But to get into it, nickname starting in the bottom right, it is an airport that is going to be building transport jets. You can see the tube on the airport already. These two barracks are going to likely make commandos that will get dropped over on this little part of the map so that Red can begin this trade route. And two docks in the bottom right for nickname, which are important to get off of this little island. In general, you don't see players spawn in the corners of the map. The center gives you much better, opportunity to get economy and capture more territories, which is what we see AKA doing. So surely at some point in this game, it will come down to whether nickname can successfully leave the bottom right of the map. And my guess is yes. That's my bet right now. Both players have two docks. AKA's way of getting off this main part of the map is to build transport boats with the little turrets on the top of them. There is also a trade route for Blue that can get set up. It's obviously a little bit closer to nickname's base, so it might not be as easy to hold, unlike nickname's that's tucked away. And one of the benefits of being in a corner is until we have the cylindrical maps where nickname's forces could just, Pac-Man style come out over here, corner's obviously a little bit more protected. First transport plane is done. It's going to be a second transport plane for nickname. One transport boat out of the docks, but the other boat is a destroyer to start capping these territories. Nickname has a good amount of oil in the back, or energy, I suppose, pardon me. Energy in the bottom right of the map, with those two wells that can be built. And an interceptor for AKA. Probably going to be used as a little bit of a scout. It won't be all that useful given the starting location of nickname, and AK is the first one to build a refinery. Two missile boats from AK after the first two transport boats, which so far are just capping. Once AK is done capping this part of the map with these infantry, you might see the transport boats get used there. And the second plane is a transport plane, so there's going to be commandos from AKA, unless AKA's long-term plan is to use inter-air-based transportation, which we very rarely see when you can use transport planes to move all your land units to a different airstrip. And the interceptor is scouting, but it's going to see nothing. You can look at the interceptor's vision here as this game is starting off. The total ecos is 485 for Blue and 413 for Red. Interceptor is the coolest unit in the game. It's a very well established fact. And the next two boats from AK is one destroyer and one cruiser. The destroyer is okay, so the destroyer is going to go up to the north, it looks like, this is on this command, and then cap this part of the map, and the rest of the boats will travel in a little bit more of a blob towards nickname's base. It's a pretty deep drop for nickname. Pressing tab, you can't really see, but the range of the bomber is probably right about where nickname has landed with the first two commandos. The plan is to get over here and start building a proxy base. It's nice with all of this terrain. The commandos will have a better time setting up the proxy base because it'll take Blue longer to actually transit these territories and cap them. That beep beep is the lovely noise, meaning that nickname is out of energy. There is this power plant which just got a buff, I believe. There's some patch notes that's pretty minor. I mean, the balance of the game is in a pretty good state, but the power plants and refineries now hold 25 energy instead of 30 is one of the changes. And power plants got a little bit of a buff to how efficient they are. Maybe. Don't quote me on that. But either way, a refinery, a power plant used to be about 1/3 as efficient as a refinery. 3 power plants equaling 1 refinery worth of energy production. Port for AK, and this is the town and port that needs to get built for AK to have the trade route. And maybe I'm not surprised. Maybe this is the play, is to move more commandos over to the left-hand side for red instead of sending them to the bottom right to start setting up this trade route. Nickname probably has the money to do it, but I suppose it's just a longer term economic play to get that trade route. You can see AK has got these 4 infantry already landed and capping a helicopter. It's going to be helicopters and interceptors, it looks like, from blue, which is the highest skill ceiling composition in my opinion, using interceptors and helicopters. But they're a little bit squishy in a lot of ways. They get absolutely torn apart by SAMs. And interceptors, they can take a lot of small arms fire as well. They're really not that tanky in any sense. I don't think either player has seen the other one yet, which is almost a record. To go 13 minutes, 6.5 of it was picking phase, but to go 13 minutes without either player seeing each other. This will definitely be seen. I guess I could have just checked the vision. So Nickname is now starting to see this. But AK can't even see these commandos because there's not enough units around. They have that stealth. Love this submarine pen from AK. And this is going to be 6 commandos, so it's going to pack quite a punch once the planes get there. One thing we kind of have to watch is if there's enough energy for Red to do this. Because 3 planes is a lot. This destroyer is also moving. No, the commandos are going to get there, and this is going to be a huge setback for AK. 2 interceptors, they're going to be lucky if they get one of the transport planes when they're leaving, and Nickname pulls it off perfectly. What a perfect strat for Nickname to just have 1 energy left. A flawless build, really, of course. And they do get 1 transport plane, but this refinery is dead. All the planes are now for blue going to stop. And both of these barracks might be in trouble. This is a very tough situation for AK. Nickname has started the proxy base in the bottom left, which is important. Again, it's situated in the mountains, which will make it easier to defend. And a barracks, a capping barracks for AK, which will help out long term. Both of these barracks are certainly dead when Nickname has this target command on the building, so the commandos aren't going to fire at anything unless they're in its way. Now it's gone. And yeah, Nickname's using this move command temporarily to get the commandos to spread out over the barracks. This is tough. AK is only going to now start being able to use the planes again, and Nickname's going to do something that Nickname does very well, which is split up the commandos and then micro both of them individually, which makes it way more difficult for blue to keep track of it. And if you forget that you were trying to chase down a commando, it's one of the best ways to have a proxy base set up on you. And the other benefit of this for Nickname is just more scouting. So seeing this dock and the town and the port, interceptors have great vision, so blue is able to see that commando. And this is a pretty good pick off of the 2 transport boats. Just every transport boat that's lost, if AK actually wants to use them again, there has to be 1 less missile boat or cruiser that's created. Thankfully for AK, most of the island hopping to the right-hand side of the map is already complete by getting on the top right island. And then obviously island hopping to the bottom right was going to be a lot harder anyway. Nickname still doesn't see this submarine pen, but notices the sub, so knows that there is a pen somewhere on the map. And the vision effect of units is cumulative. But you can see just how close the submarine pen is, and it can't be spotted. Even with 2 destroyers in here, 4 destroyers rather in here. And luckily for AK, it's not going to get spotted. This is just another great drop from Nickname. It's going to catch a barracks with really just 2 infantry on it. AK sees it and immediately starts putting down commands. And one of the cool things about the replays in Line War is you can really see how the best players will defend against things. And in this case, it's just going to be 2 attack lines. So these infantry won't stop to cap this territory. And then capture territory commands on these 2 dots. 2 barracks now for Nickname. And the stealth bonus of the mountains comes into play here. 4 infantry, it's not good enough, not enough units to actually see those 3 barracks. An interceptor flying anywhere close to this would be able to spot those buildings. And commandos standing in the same spot as those infantry probably also able to spot those buildings. But regular infantry don't have the vision. AK is powering up on some eco. While getting that second submarine, because this submarine pen staying alive might actually come into play in this game. 900 eco for blue and 633 for red. This is a pretty big eco disparity at this point in the game. The things that Nickname has going is that this proxy base was until this point undetected. And now AK is going to see just how big a deal this is. I noticed that the boats on the right hand side are trying to make a run for the refineries in the bottom right. But obviously there's a little bit of energy problems because this refinery was destroyed earlier. And both navies kind of in a fight for who can run themselves out of energy first. Cruisers use a lot of energy, and navies in general use a bunch of energy. It's a hard balancing act when playing a naval game. We need to do picture-in-picture here and see what's going on in the bottom left by those barracks. And I think one of the things for Line War, it's a different scale of APM, or it's like a different feel to it, different way that it works. You gotta battle all the way over here, you gotta pan to the bottom left. And both players have a lot of micro opportunities. You can see that AKA is probably microing down here for a little bit. And then still desperately trying to take out these 2 refineries. If blue can take out these 2 refineries, it's gonna be an enormous deal. Great play from Nickname as well in the north. And this is where like the multitask of Line War. It's different than other RTS. Every RTS, you know, has its own style of what the intensive multitask means. But part of Nickname's multitask is 6 commandos that are gonna find this submarine pen for one thing. Because if they fly right over it, these 2 transport planes I believe will. Yeah, and as soon as the commandos deploy in the parachutes, they can actually spot it. But Nickname is electing to go towards the refinery, it looks like. This is Red's vision, so actually seeing that AKA part of me already has a garrison at that refinery. Nickname's going to go more towards the main base. AKA's got a great entrenchment. This is actually in the mountains, so those units get a bonus for being entrenched in the mountain range itself. And great defense from Nickname. AK is setting up 2 refineries at once, so this is going to solve all of Blue's energy problems. But not being able to execute sniping these 2 refineries, maybe it's already too late. 693 for Red on eco and 965 for Blue. Both players making a healthy. Nickname making 200 a minute and 345 a minute for AKA. Nickname's really going for energy, sensing that blue is low and probably will have tried to take in this refinery in the north. I guess actually the commandos earlier spotted it. But they get past the main navy, and now one of the problems for blue is splitting off just a handful of boats to actually go defend this, while also losing an entire airport at home. So blue's actually going to make use of this transport plane. It's going to have nowhere to land when it comes home, but at least using it for 2 more commandos to cap the top left, which kind of important. There's a town and a port and a city on the top left island. And I think the best players, they realize when it's not going their way and then just decide what to do. Like AK puts this this airport down very quickly, just recognizing that blue wants airplanes. Because as a player there, blue could probably just decide, okay, I lost the airport, it sucks, that's a huge investment, but now I just double down on navy, or I could double down on more infantry, or whatever it is. Nice snipe from Nickname on the top. You can see the energy usage for blue. And there is a lot going on this map. Still no trade route in the bottom right for Nickname. This is great job. Like, this is a great job by Nickname to have 3 boats still at home to actually detect these submarines. It's a fantastic play from AK to actually send these down here. And the subpen is still alive. Submarines are one of the best, like, comeback units in the game. And with the amount of damage that AK's sustained here, even though blue is still technically up on eco. 753 for red and 1027 for blue. Which is still a sizable difference in economy, and AK is rebuilding this town in the north. The torpedoes destroy the refinery, destroy one of them. Now these subs are out of energy. But you don't get notifications in line war when things are happening on the map. Nothing will tell Nickname, hey, your refinery is getting attacked. It's one of the... It's like a very... I feel like most RTS don't do that, but it's like an immersive feature that it doesn't tell you. So the only thing you would hear for Nickname is the sound of torpedoes as you scan around the map. And you'd have to think, what is that? What could be attacked by torpedoes right now? This has turned into just a slugfest between the infantry, that both players just using attack moves right into each other. And the strategy for red to continue to handicap blue's energy, you can see Nickname doubling down, with 6 commandos dropping again and destroying this refinery. AK is now making 500 a minute at 1089 total economy. Nickname's making 258 a minute at 783. If blue can solve this energy problem, then I think AK could certainly turn the momentum around. You'd probably still argue that blue is winning this game. You can look at just how much map presence blue has rather than red. Nickname largely confined to the bottom of the map. And I think this little enclave or whatever is actually in trouble now that the helicopters have arrived, if they have the energy to get used. Momentum definitely on red side. This commando drop of 6 units has done pretty devastating damage at the end of the day. If this one helicopter was flying, this fight would already be over. And blue would be pushing back. And that's how important energy is. And just the sorts of swings of momentum you can have, because this is all red right now. AK is stuffing this landing attempt, and now Nickname gets the bottom right and starts to cap it to get that trade route, which would probably at least tie Nickname with AK on economy. Or very close to it. One of the biggest problems that has happened for blue is actually that there's been four barracks that have been destroyed here already. So it now just makes AK a little bit susceptible to these actual landing attempts. Nickname's just going to kind of brute force this through the entrenchments, trying to use the boats. But there's no cruisers here, so they don't really have the range to shoot that far inland. And as long as AK keeps these two cruisers here, this destroyer and missile boat won't be able to destroy the refinery again. I think one of the things that changed as well is that units heal a little bit more quickly now. You can see like this infantry is all kind of bruised up. Over time, if it's not capping and it's not doing anything, it will start shining and it will repair itself. And the process, it used to take a very, very, very long time. Like you didn't really ever notice it happening, and it's been changed a little bit. Nice entrenchment from Nickname. This is a perfect use of entrenchments, really, to just get a foothold. So the map's looking a little bit more red, still quite blue. This turned back into a stalemate. I think this is actually the coolest fight of the game. Just some infantry in forests and mountains. And both players have been microing that the entire time. While I've been jumping around the map. 913 income for red and 1188 for blue. Shout out Infenzia for the music in the game. We're playing the soundtrack. And it fits the moment. There's a dock in the back now for AK because there are 2 energy locations here that could be very helpful to get. It's huge to get the top left energy, and Nickname actually snipes this. So I don't know what happened here. The cruisers must have been out of energy. Yeah, okay, the cruisers are out of energy. And Nickname microed around with this move command. So totally wrong. The missile boat and the cruiser outsmart, or the missile boat and the destroyer outsmart the 2 cruisers. And these infantry are just going to run right into that entrenchment. You'll see how good entrenchments are in this case, unless Nickname decides to change up the command, and Nickname does, because Nickname's extremely good. And notice that while also trying to move this refinery. This makes a lot of sense. This is overwhelming infantry for red. And although they will attack the blue infantry because they're trying to move to the refinery, they're ultimately going to get there and then destroy it. Nickname's landing, or rather moving these commandos out to try to do one of the things Nickname does best, which is multitask, set up proxy bases with the commandos. Okay, this is good for AK. The helicopters can start moving again. And blue's officially positive on energy here. And this refinery will still die, but at least this helicopter's now here. The barracks is also in trouble. These 2 barracks are maybe optimistic for AK, given how many infantry there might be. It's 3 barracks now and a town for Nickname. But at the same time, AK is going to be here to reinforce with some of these infantry pretty quick. And it is a great location to put these barracks in general, because they will naturally defend that refinery that's been sniped 3 times. And eco-wise, 1400 for blue and 1072 for red. Both players keeping a healthy eco. And that's why they're able to trade like this and expand this quickly. The map's almost entirely taken up. This is technically its own little island. So Nickname would have to get a transport boat over there. No, this is certainly going down. Yeah, okay. This is going to prove very costly for red, because Nickname is committing to this, it looks like, but blue is not going to run out of gas this time. There's plenty of energy on these 3 refineries. The 4th one again trying to get set up. In this particular case, Red might still get the refinery. Unless these 2 cruisers actually chase, which it doesn't look like they're going to. But even then, nice work by Nickname with the commandos in the top right. Wow, Nickname's destroying another refinery with commandos. Who would have guessed? In this game, it's now almost 3 barracks against 3 barracks. If these 2 barracks can get set up for blue, then Nickname is certainly in trouble in the bottom left. Because at a certain point, once both players are done expanding, then they can commit more heavily into like infrastructure or producers to decide where on the map they want to push. And if AK just has more money, it becomes more difficult for Red. 1127 income for Nickname and 1487 for AK. So maybe Nickname's actually catching up a little bit. This trade route is going to be enormous. But a lot of blue territory still. Interceptors do pretty bad damage to ground units, but this refinery's pretty on fire. So with a few cannon rounds, maybe they'll be able to destroy it. There's no health bars in Line War, you just kind of visually get an idea. And there you go, the interceptor does actually get it. 2 airports from AK, who is still totally fine on energy. That's a nice play from Nickname. I wasn't expecting that. So maybe that changes the bottom left. Very good game. You can tell why both these players were in, went very far in the tournament last time. And every time before that in the different Line War tournaments. These 3 boats for Nickname are just kind of chilling at the top. They would be able to destroy this town and this port, but AK is continuing to build destroyers in the back. Somehow there's 1 infantry that is going to get max value by destroying an airport. There's a lot going on the map. It's not necessarily a given that AK would see this right now. Because this is a problem. First factory of the game for AK. Until then, yeah, until now it's been barracks only. And the idea is that there's going to be SAMs. It makes sense. While the airports don't have interceptors yet, and because there's 3 barracks in the bottom, it could make a lot of sense to build some SAMs or even artillery pieces. AK set these 3 barracks up, and this there's 2 helicopters here now. And Nickname's using the inter-airbase transportation. I made a joke about it at the beginning of the game, and we're actually seeing it. We very rarely do. So there's going to be commandos that join in as part of this. The commandos have dropped everywhere that they need to. The Nickname's building farms in the bottom right. Actually, this isn't kept. So the commandos now have to run all the way down. $16.55 eco for red and $12.41 for blue. Yeah, AK still doesn't see this airport. It was built in the mountains, so things that build in forests and mountains take 50% longer to build. But of course the benefit is that they are stealthed and harder to detect. Interceptors get another building. Really nice by Nickname. I don't know what killed this infantry, but you can see just how much damage it did to this airport. And first SAMs for AK are on the way. Yeah, this will be tough for Nickname to actually do anything on. AK has turned off the barracks to save some money, feeling that there's no need to put more infantry there. And it's all interceptors from AK, so there's no helicopters to deal better with these destroyers. City for blue, which is enormous, and these are commandos that are getting built. It's kind of a funny scene to see. Let's see how long it takes Nickname to decide to destroy this. I mean, there's 3 destroyers here as well, but there's so much going on in the game. This is the main fight that we're watching. Just a handful of artillery pieces for blue, even a single one might turn out to be a huge deal. Nickname wins these 2 small engagements on both sides. There's 3 destroyers on that 1 destroyer for blue, and then the interceptors obviously got one of the helicopters, which is very expensive, and AK is building 2 more. You can see with the recent changes to entrenchments in the game, with a buff overall for them, it's interesting to watch players just decide to post up with entrenchments super close. Sort of makes sense in, like, you know, to shape the map and where your opponent has to go. In this case, there's not really enough infantry for Nickname to get off these entrenchments. So it's pretty optimistic at the spacing. But all the commandos have landed, and Nickname builds the first factory for red. Still 1680 income from AK and 1293 for Nickname. The trade route is up, so the merchant ships are only now starting to unload their cargo and stuff to actually make the money. And we saw a sub pen in the very top right for AK, which I'm a big fan of. Both players seeing the town on the port in the top left, and AK responding to Nickname sending the boats up there. And still very strong ecos for both players. More for AK, but still 385 a minute for Nickname at 1375 and 541 a minute for AK at 1810. 2 helicopters here is enormous for AK to fight off these commandos in a second transport plane for Nickname. With the only way, they must be dropping over here to the north. It's the only thing that makes sense. There could be an argument to use this airport to drop commandos about here or something, but I can't imagine that's actually the play. And now that we're getting more into like the Endgame sort of things, more docks from both players and just locking up parts of the ocean. AK probably knows that as long as the status quo kind of remains, blue will win. Because of the expected, you know, difference in eco. And this might turn into a huge fight between these 2 navies. You'll be able to kind of see it on the big map, which you just scroll all the way out to get this. Top right is probably the only spot that AK is really at risk of losing significant territory, because this thing in the center is pretty much cleared up now. I had a bunch of interceptors deal with all the helicopters in the bottom left. AK is losing 100 energy a minute sometimes when it spikes. And it's just because of how many cruisers there are here for blue. But it is an important thing. I mean, these red boats could decide to run by, try to snipe an energy again. Because of how big the Navy is, it's kind of difficult for Nickname to want to do that because Blue could destroy all of the docks. And then the game kind of ends. The cruisers would be able to shell at this and destroy probably even the airstrip as well, the town, the airport. And cruisers are the best unit on water to fight other boats, by far. And really with a blob like this, there's it's only helicopters and strikers not really, but kinda. Bombers a bit that can deal with this. Or just in general an overwhelming amount of air. But cruisers do have pretty good anti-air, so in small numbers, and if the cruisers are allowed to get underneath the helicopters, like in this case, because the helicopters will attack the missile boat first, it's not going to go well for the helicopters. Good game. Well played both. And I hope, you know, that might be a little bit of a sneak peek into what will be in the tournament. Again, July 1st to July 7th, go register if you'd like to play. There's an announcement on the Discord about it. Maybe on Steam. I don't think on Steam, actually. But if, yeah, just go to the challenge and see what's up. And hope you have a wonderful night, day, evening, whatever it is. GG, well played both. Bye-bye.